All right, welcome to my humble abode. This is my little kitchen where, if anyone has been paying attention recently, I almost died. And I've done my best to clean up all of the blood, but some of it still remains. What can you do? Anywho, what I want to talk about is my new project, which is this guy right here. So, I want to start painting again, and the reason why I have this in my place is because it was probably like five months ago. I went out to take my trash out, and I noticed that this very stereotypical mass-produced, TJ Maxx style canvas had been thrown away. It's very common when you live in an apartment to have stuff tossed out like that. That's how I got this thing right here. It was just thrown away, and I was like, hey, I can use that. Clearly, I'm doing the bachelor pad thing. And this is Patrick's fish oil supplement and his dog bowl. And, another thing that I got that, isn't necessarily nice, but functional. And that's how boys live sometimes. I've got my pots on the wall. They just sort of live there. I think it's cool. It's kind of like, when you live alone, it's like your whole house is like a tool shed. You have the things you need just kind of, bolted to the wall. Anyway, I found this canvas, and I'll paste a link to it below the video, even though I think I've already posted one a couple of times in previous threads. But it's totally like a generic TJ Maxx kind of canvas. It's the kind of thing, if you went to Ross or TJ Maxx, it would cost $39. It would be large, and it would have some kind of print on it. The original version of this was just a beach view with these kind of cheap, kitschy, shitty blinds that were open, pointed towards the beach. It kind of looked like someone had made it in Adobe Illustrator 15 years ago. The kind of thing that a college kid would buy if they needed to just toss something on the wall. Another example of this kind of art would be, a black and white photo of, a beautiful woman in Paris drinking espresso, or some kind of the Arch de Triomphe, for some kind of just large, famous, generic thing that just sort of is slapped onto a canvas. I think the most famous version of this is that Cat Noir print that everybody seems to love so much. It's the kind of thing where it's basically a poster, but they actually print it on, the canvas material. And so what's kind of cool about this idea, especially when it gets thrown away, is that the canvas itself is inexpensive canvas. In fact, if you were gonna buy a canvas like this from scratch, at an art store, and it might actually be the same price as something that TJ Maxx or Ross would sell in this sort of bargain, cheap, mass-produced artwork canvas kind of thing that they do. So, point I'm making is I think it'd be really cool to do an entire series of just refactoring this kind of art. So the idea is you have to use some component of the pre-existing theme to communicate something new. And I don't currently have a dumpster full of these things. This was just a weird thing that I found. So the point I'm making is if you have this kind of generic artwork and you're sick of it and it's big, I really want it to be like big, like large art, and you want to get rid of it, I'll pay you for shipping and send it to me, and I'll do something cool with it. I think that'd be pretty cool. So this is my new little side quest, you know, refactor, mass-produced canvases that are sold at the cost of a canvas at an art store. Anyway, yeah, this is where I'm at with this one. And I spent about 2 hours on this tonight. And from an art perspective, you know, when you try to make something like this, and by no means am I some sort of like, you know, guru or expert in the artistic process, but if you look at Michelangelo with the sculpture of David, right? One of the things he said when he was making that masterpiece was basically like, you know, I didn't carve David. I took away everything from the stone that wasn't him. And so what's kind of interesting about this first phase approach that I took this artwork, and I think it could be applied to other canvases of this nature, is that was kind of what I did with this guy tonight. I spent about 2 hours on it, and I basically gave this thing a pretty messy and generous application of like mixtures of blue and black and white, and just kind of like, you know, went to town on the coating, but I made sure to add an even mixture of water to that. And so what the water does, it does two things. It makes sure that we don't, you know, permanently seal what's underneath the canvas, but it also creates sort of like a time barrier where if you want to reduce the paint, right, it's going to take longer to dry because you mixed it with water. So this was my phase one with this particular thing, and I actually did two phases. I did a blue phase mixed with water, and then I did a black, blue, and white phase mixed with water. And then to get this effect that we're looking at right now, I actually, you know, I have an idea of where I want to go with this ultimately, and it's by no means done. But what I was able to do because of the way I applied it, and you don't have to use water, by the way, you can use like other, like acetone, like other products that, you know, do the same thing, but water is cheap and easy, and if you use it correctly, it works pretty well. So, yeah, basically, I wish I would have taken more intermittent photos of the process tonight with this thing that I made, but yeah, a lot of the detail where I was kind of able to restore the waves and the clouds, but in this like much darker tone in under 2 hours. And if you think of the scale of the canvas, that's, you know, it's not too bad. I used a reduction technique where I was basically using a paper towel. It has to be a high quality paper towel, or it's gonna you're gonna get fragments of it in the paint, and then, you know, you're screwed. But yeah, you use like a high quality dense paper towel, and you get a little bit wet, and you basically do this thing where you lay your base paint layer on top of this thing, and you let it dry, but you don't let it dry all the way. And then you get your damp paper towel, and you come in here, and you basically just, you know, you do some twist motions or some scraping or some sliding. If we get into some of the waves that I created here, which, you know, they're looking pretty solid, right? In terms of the original piece and how it looked like. You know, I even use my fingernail, right? In some situations to just, you know, sort of create these lines. When you're doing an ocean scene from perspective, you really want it to feel like the waves, you know, are coming from the back, and then they're approaching, you know, the front. And so you can use, you know, a knife or a fork, or it doesn't really matter what you use, but I basically was able to recreate a somewhat convincing, you know, ocean scene here with literally just my fingernail and some paper towels. So lots more work to do on this thing. This is just phase one, but I think it's pretty cool that I took this thing that I found at the dumpster and turned it into already something that is gonna be kind of epic, I think. So anyway, keep doing art. Life is hard right now. Society is hard. The only way sometimes I can, feel good about my day is to do this kind of stuff. So keep doing it, keep building, keep painting, keep doing whatever it is that gets you through this time on Earth.